humans and we're interacting and we're being vulnerable with each other. I mean, honestly, us schmucko actors get to come stand up on these stages and interact with you guys, and this is a vulnerable moment sometimes. We're talking about real stuff, and I want to be vulnerable and real with you guys. You guys cool with that? Is that cool? Awesome. So listen, for those of you who have been to a panel before, I don't normally do moderated panels. I really like talking to you guys directly. Even if you ask the same questions sometimes over and over again, I'm happy to indulge you in that because that's why I'm here. We're at a convention so that we can all hang out together and get to the bottom of shit, right? So, without any further ado, I'd like to open it up to any questions that anybody has. There's a microphone here and there's a microphone there. I'm going to start over here since this person popped up first, but then I'm coming right there. And then we're just going to bounce back and forth. Yes, sir, love the suspenders. Hit me.
In portraying Shazam, you're actually portraying a child.
Yeah.
So what mannerisms are you using to show that extra light used in your journey?
Well, I pretty much just wake up and am me. I say that as a joke. It's only half of a joke. I would say that of all... Actually, no, you know what? Before I get into that, thank you for your question, sir. Really quick, and I think he kind of said something earlier to everybody, whisper to the person next to you what of my work you like the most. But I got to do this because it's one of my favorite things to do. So how many people out there are Chuck fans? That's a great answer. How many people out there are Shazam fans? Excellent. How many people out there are Tangled fans? Yeah. Miss Maisel fans out there? Word. Alvin and the Chipmunks, the squeakle? I asked that question because I swear to God, sometimes, like, Chuck is always, like, so near and dear to my heart. And kind of answering your question, sir, like, Chuck was probably the most me I've ever been cast as. I showed up and literally was just being myself, more often than not. Shazam is a close second. And even though he's a 14-year-old child in the first movie, and, you know, he's roughly 17, 18 in the second, I have always been a Peter Pan man-child who loves fun. Also, I'm an actor, and as an actor, we're constantly, like, being asked to just use our imagination. So it really does kind of keep you young. You know, if you lean into that, you can really kind of allow that to keep you in that younger space, and I've just always been that guy anyway. So when it comes to playing Billy Batson, you know, what I tried to do, I tried to age him up a little bit in the second movie, you know, because from 14 to 17 is a pretty marked difference in anybody's life, particularly a young boy. And then beyond that, you know, just trying to look at, well, what do 17-year-olds, how do they act right now? What do they do? What do they think? And how do they talk? And some of you have 17-year-olds, or you are 17-year-olds, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. So, like in the first movie, for example, the floss dance was like all the rage. I was like, well, I'm gonna floss, and then that made it in the movie, you know? And in the second one, I just tried to embody what I thought a 17-year-old today would kind of like, you know, his attitude and the way he carries himself. Yeah, so that's what I did for that one. Anyway, next, great question. Next question.
Hello, I'm Kevin. I'm from Hammond.
You're Kevin from Hammond?
Yes, Hammond, Indiana.
Well, excellent. Kevin is a player. Woo! Indiana, come on!
So, I love Chuck, and you're awesome.
Thanks, bro.
Yeah, so I have a two-parter. One, how's your quest for your reunion special or reboot of the show going? And when are you going to get Yvonne to come out here with you?
Wouldn't you like to know?
That's why I'm asking.
That's why I'm asking. So, yes, so listen, guys, I swear to you when I say it in other panels and when I say it online, I mean it. I have been trying to make a Chuck movie since before we even finished the show. I was like, well before other people were turning their shows into movies. I was like, guys, there's no reason. I saw the online trajectory. I saw that we were going to be having content streaming non-stop. I was like, there's no reason why we shouldn't be doing this right now. But of course, nobody listened to me then. But my hope, my goal, and I've had even recent meetings to this effect, is it's very difficult to get a whole gang back together for a whole new season. However, and all you Chuck fans, you know this, every episode was basically a mini 80s action movie anyway. So I think if they just gave us, you know, a bit more money and a bit more time, we could easily go make a Chuck movie. And if that works, and again, whether that's in theaters or just streaming, I don't know what that would ultimately be. But either way, my goal, my passion is to continue our stories from where we left off with the series, because A, I think it's fertile fucking ground to make really fun content, but B, like a lot of you people out there, I was left a little like at the end of the show. A little now, which is not to say that I think Chris and Josh and our writers, I think they actually were attempting to do something really clever, which is, if you watch the show all the way to the end, and now you have, well, spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't seen it, and you allow this idea that Chuck is telling Sarah about their past, you go back and rewatch the show as if it's Chuck telling Sarah about the past. So it's kind of a cool device in that regard. But it still left a lot of folks like, what the heck did I just invest 5 years into if she forgot everything? And I don't believe that for a second. You know, I believe that she remembers, whether magically like Morgan believes she did, or because I help her to remember and then she remembers stuff. I don't know. But I think we all deserve a movie to say that's in fact what happened. So that's the goal, and I'll get, if we make a movie, and by the way, if it gets to the point where it's an actual crowdfund situation, I will let you guys know on social media, and I will need you to firestorm that across the world, okay? And even if it's not a full crowdfund, I might just go to you guys on social media and say, hey, I'm sitting down with, you know, such and such executive at Warner Brothers. I would like to show them that there is an appetite for a Chuck movie out there. I'm gonna need all you guys to tweet them like crazy. Okay? All right. And when we get that movie done, I promise you, we'll do a fun Chuck convention tour. And I will personally drag him on to the conventions. And Josh Gomez, and Ryan McPartland, and Sarah Lancaster, and our boys from Jester, and anybody else who can come, because you guys, the love that you have given us over all these years is never not felt. Every one of us has felt that, and every one of us has appreciated that. So thank you, appreciate that. Thank you, sir. Yes?
Hi, I'm Pearson from Hoffman Estates, Illinois, and
Hello, Pearson.
I'm going to ask you a bit of a brain twister question.
I'll be the judge of that.
Anyway, imagine, thanks to the multiverse, you're sitting at dinner with 3 of your favorite roles. Who would have the best stories? I told you.
Well, I don't know that that's a twisted question. It's an interesting question. Twisted gets into a whole other area. That's a really good question. I think maybe Eugene Fitzherbert, to be honest. You guys know what's up. Flynn Rider for the uninitiated. Yeah. So listen, Flynn just got the gift of gab and charm and would constantly be spinning yarns, whether they were true or not. I think Billy would have actually incredible stories, but he's still kind of a kid, and I don't know that he would be able to tell those stories exactly as charming as Flynn Rider can. Chuck would also have incredible stories, but Chuck would be more chill about it all. Flynn would be, I think, you know, kind of running the table with all the storytelling. Am I wrong? I think I'm right on that one. Yeah. Thank you very much, sir.
My name's Hannah. I'm from Indiana as well.
Hannah from Indiana. I love the rhyming in that.
I was wondering what it was like to work in She Loves Me. Like, how did Broadway go forward?
How many Broadway fans out there? Did anybody see She Loves Me? Did you see it in the theater? Just give me a yip if you've actually seen me on stage live on Broadway. Okay, so thank you. I appreciate it. That's not an easy thing to do, by the way, to travel all the way to New York and get those tickets that are always way too damn expensive to go watch us on stage. It means a lot to me that you guys have done that. So, She Loves Me. What was that experience like? Is that what you're asking? It was incredible. Look, I grew up since I was a little kid doing theater. I love theater. I think it's where, if you want to be an actor, go do theater. Go do theater, go do more theater, go do more theater. Don't just be one of these people who's like, you know what, I've never done this acting thing my whole life, but I'm gonna give it a shot. Like, don't do that. Like, actually give a shit about it, and then go do it if you can. So I loved doing theater all through growing up, and I always dreamed about, obviously, doing film and television and stuff, but also doing Broadway. So I did a show called First Date, which was in 2000. Okay. Thank you. That was the first Broadway show I did, and I had only done that show by the time then I got offered She Loves Me. And so, in that show, for anybody who is unaware, it was a revival of the show we did for the Roundabout Theater Company, but it was stacked full of like super talented veteran theater people, and I was like this sophomore, like basically I felt like this JV basketball player being pulled up to varsity and being like, don't fuck it up, kid. Like, that's what it felt like in a lot of respects. But it was also so rewarding and so fulfilling. I have memories with that entire group of people that will last throughout my lifetime. I was nominated for a Tony Award. I mean, all of these incredible blessings that poured forth from that. And not for nothing, quite a large little something is Amy Sherman Palladino and Dan Palladino, who are the writer-creators of The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel and Gilmore Girls and things of that nature. They came to the show, and they knew the director of the show, Scott Ellis, because he also directs on The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, and they went to him and said, hey, we really like that Zach guy. What do you think? He spoke kindly of me. I'm very grateful for it. And it was because of them seeing me in that show that ultimately led to me being Benjamin in Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. So a lot of really great things came out of that experience. Very grateful for it. Yeah. Thank you. Great question. You.
Hi, I'm Violet. I'm from Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Violet. You're turning violet, Violet.
I've heard that a lot of times.
All the time. By the way, that Chocolate Factory movie, I think, was far superior to the other one, in my humble opinion. Nobody beats Gene Wilder. Continue.
Okay, I'm trying not to kind of ask this question.
Oh.
You talked about on Jimmy Fallon, I'm pretty sure, about your mental health struggles. What would you say to upcoming kid actors like I am, wanting to get into the industry and struggling with mental health?
That is a fantastic question. Thank you for asking. How old are you, Darby?
I am 16.
You're 16 years old. Okay. So, first I would say that I don't know what it's like to be a child actor. I mean, you're 16, you're getting into, I started when I was 18 in film and television. I was doing theater. Again, I cannot say this enough. Theater. If you want to be an actor, go act, go learn what it means to be in a scene, with scene partners, staying present, being in a character, taking direction, understanding how to break down the writing of any piece, whatever, all that stuff. These are the pillars of what it means to go and be an actor in any other medium. At 18, so I'd done theater a long time, then at 18, I was blessed that somebody saw me in a community theater play, and she got me to a manager who got me to a casting director who got me to an agent, and all of these doors just very, like, supernaturally blew open for me, and I'm so grateful. Like, God bless me in all these incredible ways, to the fact that now I'm a superhero and I'm standing on stages like this, answering questions from lovely people like you, right? So, but I would say, because I don't know what it's like to be 16 trying to do this, I wouldn't recommend it. I wouldn't. If I were you, I would just keep working on theater, keep working on like really grounding yourself in the craft of it, and then at 18, when you really have your kind of, I don't know that any of us is really an adult at 18, to be perfectly honest. I don't know why they trust us with that, but at least then, in the eyes of the law and your ability to be autonomous and go live your life and go on auditions and all that stuff and get a job, all that, these are all very important pieces of going and trying and doing that hustle. So I would say give yourself until 18 before you're doing anything. If you are a parent out there and you have a child who is super talented and precocious and is outgoing and can remember things and actually legitimately has a talent to do this stuff. I'm not saying you're an evil person for going and doing that or encouraging them that. There are healthy ways of going and doing that, and there are unhealthy ways of doing that. So please don't do the unhealthy thing. I leave it up to you to figure out what that is. There's a lot of things involved in that. But most importantly, go to therapy. If you want to be the best actor that you can be, you go to therapy. You want to be the best plumber you can be, you go to therapy. You want to be the best you, the best way to be the best anything is to be the best you. And the best way to be the best you is to figure out all of the shit that is going on inside of your heart and mind that you're unaware of. And guess what? We are all so unaware of so many things, guys, that are going on in our hearts and minds, and that's okay. That's called trauma. That's normal. We all have that going on in us. Every single one of us needs at least a little bit of therapy. Some of us need a lot. I liken mental health to dental health. It's all very much about preventative medicine, okay? If you brush and floss your teeth on a regular basis, guess what? You don't need a root canal 2 years on. If you brush and floss your mind on a regular basis, you don't have mental breakdowns like I had when I turned 37 and literally didn't want to live anymore, which is what led to me writing that book and talking about that on Found and all that kind of stuff. But I really suggest you don't wait until you're 37 to have a mental breakdown and not want to live. I suggest that you go and talk to your friends and family first, allow them to buoy you, tell you that you are worthy of getting therapy and investing in yourself and loving yourself, because that's the most important ingredient. Love yourself, love yourself, love yourself, love yourself, okay? Are you loving yourself?
I am.
Good.
Myself.
Good. Keep doing that. Keep doing that.
Talked recently on their podcast about you having an audition for Smallville.
Yeah.
I have like a kind of a two-part. So my first part is, what roles did you audition for in that show? And the second part is, what kind of crossover, like, if you could go back in time to when Chuck and Supernatural, it's like, we're like all on, cable.
All being produced by Warner Brothers. Yeah.
Right. Like, what crossovers would you like to see? Because I know you did like White Duke with Psych. So, like, would you have wanted to be a different character on that show, or would you have liked to see a Psych shot?
Well, first let me say, you should never ever trust anything that comes out of Tom and Michael's mouths. They are some of the biggest liars. No, I'm kidding. I love those guys so much. And I love going and I love Michael's podcast. I really appreciated going. You guys listen to Michael's podcast? It's really good. I've done it now 5 times. Basically, it's little therapy sessions every time. We're just kind of cracking open and opening up concepts, and I love being able to do that. I love podcasts because they allow for long-form conversation. Going and doing things like Jimmy Fallon can be really fun, but it's like you get 2 seconds to talk about anything, and it's like, ba-dum-bum, all right, guys, just stay tuned after the break. We got this band coming. It's very difficult to unpack larger ideas, but with Michael, we get to do that often. When it came to Smallville, the only character, no, that's not true. I originally auditioned for Superman, and they were like, yeah, thank you, didn't get it. Wasn't meant to be. Wasn't meant to be, genuinely. But at the audition for Superman, they go, hey, listen, you did a great job, but we actually think you're more Lex Luthor. Would you mind taking a look at these sides, these pages? I was like, okay. And then I took a look at these things, and I came back in and I read for Lex. And they were like, yeah, that's great. We're going to bring you back for producers. And then I read for producers, and they're like, oh my God, yeah, we're going to send you to studio test. And then I studio tested, and then I went all the way to the network. And David Nutter, who directed the pilot, I had like work sessions with him. I was like, I'm going to be Lex Luthor. Like, I was convinced I was going to be cast as Lex Luthor, move to Vancouver, and shave my head. It was all happening. And then it didn't. And then it didn't happen. I went all the way to network, and they were like, nah, it's not really our guy, Well, I know, it's okay. It wasn't meant to be. And by the way, and I say that with a little bit of a wink, obviously, but truthfully, it wasn't meant to be. The things that don't work out in our lives, guys, are actually working out for us. Life is happening for us Life's having fun. I know that's hard. I know that some of the shit that happens to us is really, really messed up, and it's really hard. And I'm not saying it's not. I'm not saying like, hey, it should be fine. Just like move past it. No, metabolize that pain. Metabolize whatever dark shit happens in your life. Work through that, but know that that dark period can lead to and will lead to, if you allow it, a really beautiful, prosperous time in your life. But that's the hard stuff we have to go through. So anyway, not to tangent too much. But I am tangential and verbose, so sorry. But so that was ultimately my auditioning kind of journey with Smallville. And then, you know, I don't know. Like, I didn't imagine crossovers with Supernatural or with Smallville because we were just very different universes, if you will. Although with Psych, ironically, because I'm sure there's a lot of Psych fans here too. The Psychsters and the Chucksters are, there's a Venn diagram, it's very stout. It's a very stout Venn diagram. And I used to do this event called Nerd HQ for years, and we had, rock and roll. And hoping to bring that back at some point, but I would have panels, and I had the boys from Psych come down, and I think Maggie even joined us a couple times too. And so I became friendly with them doing those panels, and they actually wrote in the musical episode of the series, there's a character named Z. That was supposed to be me. I was supposed to be in the musical episode, but I was Fandral in Thor the Dark World at the time, and so embarrassment of riches, you know what I mean? So I was too busy swashbuckling. I couldn't possibly. Ironically, doing an English accent in that, and then coming back for Psych the movie and also having an English accent, and also being blonde. I don't know how that all happened, but ultimately, yeah. So there you go. Thank you. Yeah. Next person over here.
I'm Jackie.
Hi, Jackie. Where are you from?
I'm from Bolingbrook.
Bolingbrook. Okay, copy that.
I love Shazam 2.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
So this doesn't contain any spoilers, but there's a scene in Shazam 2 where after the Shazamily does this mission, Billy, he has a highlight reel of everything. So I'm just wondering if you could do a highlight reel of your life or your career. What are some things you would include?
I mean, what are we talking about? Because, jobs. Like jobs? Oh, okay. I don't know. My whole darn life. I mean, there's plenty of times when I look at my life and I'm, what was that dog? Lassie? Timmy stuck in a well? There's plenty of times where I look at my life and I think I've failed it. I mean, part of the reason I had a total breakdown when I, 6 years ago, was because no matter, despite all of the cool shit that I got to do, getting to be Chuck, getting to be Fandral, getting to be Flynn Rider, getting to do all these really incredible jobs, I felt like I was a failure. I felt like I had failed in my whole journey of what it is that I was supposed to be doing. Even in moments like, look, I think Shazam! Fury of the Gods is objectively actually a better movie than the first movie. But a lot of people don't think so. No boy. But yeah, fuck those guys, right? I'm kidding. Oh my God, somebody's gonna take that video, by the way. They're gonna be like, snip, snip, Zachary Levi hates people. Oh my God. Oh my God. I love you too. But in this moment, I was like, I felt really good. I felt bullish. I was like, I think if people like the first one that much, I think they're really gonna. And then it became this thing right now. And, so if you did like it, please go tell all of your friends and family. It would mean a lot. But so this last week has been weird. It's been hard. It definitely didn't feel like it would hit the highlight reel, but it does. I think our whole life does. I think life is a miracle. I think it's an incredible blessing that we're even existing in this realm right now, this existence right now. And again, that's hard to take in sometimes. And I know that I'm literally standing on a stage. Woe is me, look at me on the stage and all these people looking at me. so I know that I have so much privilege and platform that I've been given in my life, and it's very difficult sometimes to even allow yourself to be like, man, I wish that worked out different, or I wish things were better, or whatever. But I always just try to come back to humility, gratitude, and trust in my life, and recognize that I am where I am, and the fact that I'm even there is a highlight. But if you want to get into the specifics of things like, I mean, are you kidding me? I've gotten to be a Marvel superhero, a DC superhero, and a Disney prince. And I don't know a lot of other people that have gotten to do that. So, over here.
My name is Mike, and I guess it first...
Animals! Feral animals! It's hot! Sweating through this, yes?
First off, I want to say congratulations on the release of Shazam 2.
Thank you.
It's awesome.
Thank you.
When I saw it opening night and the theater was packed and there were awesome reactions, it was so much fun.
Great.
So I've got to say though, for a superhero movie, I always kind of wondered, you know, there's a lot of special effects. There's stuff that's, you know, going to be put in later. When you're acting, how do you react to stuff that is not in front of you that's going to be added later?
Like a drunk child. I mean, it's imagination. I mean, honestly, try to think back. When was the last time, and this is hard for a lot of us, for you, young man in the front row, you've probably been doing this very regularly, using your imagination. For adults, try to think back. When was the last time you had like toys or action figures, and you were thinking about? Well, okay, maybe some of you would do. Okay, we're at a convention, I get it. Anyway, but still, here we are. Even with the imagination that we apply to these things that we love so much right now as adults, there is a level of full-on belief, faith, when you're a little kid, because you have not been jaded by the world. You are not cynical on the level that most of us adults kind of get to, because we've seen behind the curtain. We know how the sausage is made. Children are just eating the sausage and they're like, oh my God, that's amazing! And you got your G.I. Joes and they're running up against Cobra and you got the whole thing. I mean, I used to have zip lines that I made with my buddies, and we'd get our Joes and we would hit them on the zip line and they'd fly down. And you believed every bit of it. All of my Thundercats, all of my He-Man, all of my Transformers, all of my everything. All of those things I just believed were happening in real time, in real life, right? So it's put yourself in that kind of a crazy mindset. That's what you got to do when you're looking at a big green screen and you got a director saying, and the dragon's coming at you, and you're like, oh my God, it's a dragon! You got to believe it. And that's the cool thing about being an actor, is that you got to believe that, whether it's a green screen or whether it's somebody standing in front of you pretending to be somebody else. You own it, you go there, you believe it, and that's fun. So, yeah.
Sounds like a blast.
It is, yeah, thank you. Great question. Yes, sir?
Hi, I'm Luke from Chicago.
Luke from Chicago.
And then my question is, out of the two Shazam movies, which is your favorite suit that Shazam wears?
Oh, I think the second one. Yeah, I mean, listen, I was stoked to wear both. Don't get me wrong, you know what I mean? Like, it's super tight and not super comfortable and very difficult to go to the bathroom in. Number ones are okay because you have a little cot piece with zippers right here. Which, by the way, with the first suit particularly, like, I needed help because the zippers are way back here on the taint. Just stay with me for a second. And so, I swear to God, there was moments where I was like, oh man, I gotta go. You kind of feel like a toddler in pajamas, because it's like upsies. It's like I was like pee time, and then two trained costumers, adult human beings, would then have to, with these hooks, unzip. Like it was almost like I was getting, I don't know what a pap smear's like, but it was almost like I was getting checked out, you know? Eventually I figured it out so I could do it myself. But you had these like two zippers and a little cod piece situation, and then you could go number one. But a number two, bro, forget about it. You had the entire suit had to come off. There was no, we didn't have those like, you know, the butt flap thing. which might not be a bad addition to a third suit if we get that opportunity. But yeah, no, the second suit, I think, and also the first suit we had, the idea was cool. We had practical light up bolts on the chest and lights in the gauntlets, but they're like with wires. We're doing an action movie. I'm constantly like, the wires were breaking. We shot in Toronto in the middle of winter, which is similar to Chicago in the middle of winter, which is freezing. And batteries and electricity don't like the cold, as it turns out. So a lot of that stuff was short-circuiting and all that jazz. So it was nice to just kind of simplify things. And also, I loved how all of the detail on this suit, like the metal work on it, it all felt like worn, like bronze and stuff like that matched much more to, let's say, Wonder Woman's armor or Aquaman's, like things like that. It all kind of felt, in the same world. So yeah, I like the second one more. Thanks, man. Fred?
Hello, my name's Pat.
Okay.
And I really never found out how Chuck ended.
Why?
Yes. And so a second on that, changing because of the earlier question, had it not, or would you have wanted it to keep going, or were you ready to do something different at that time?
Well, I think it's a complicated answer because by the time we got to the end of that show, I definitely had a lot of mixed feelings about it. It's one of the most incredible experiences of my life and one of the dearest experiences of my life. And all of those people involved in that show, cast and crew, I still to this day, even though I don't see them or talk to them on the same regular basis, I still consider them to be very dear, like family to me. But it was very, very, very difficult. I mean, the first season alone, thank God we only did 13 episodes. There was a writer's strike that happened and it kind of stopped our season because we were shooting, I don't know, we were averaging 16-hour days. And you have to have, by union law, you have to have a 12-hour turnaround off time as an actor from when you wrap a day to the next time you can come to work. So, doing the math, you start on a Monday at like 6 a.m., you work a 16-hour day-ish, and now you gotta give me 12 hours, and now we're starting so late the next day, that's 16 hours, and you just keep adding that. By the time we got to Friday, we were working, we called them Fraturdays, because we worked all the way until like 8 in the morning on Saturday, and then you had to somehow get back on a schedule and get back to work at 6 a.m. on Monday. So, listen, again, champagne problems. I got to be an actor on a TV show, but talk about something that really fucks with your mental and emotional well-being. It really, really, really messed not just me up, but really Yvonne, everybody. I mean, it is not a humane way to have people work, I guess is what I could say. So that, fortunately, it got better and better as we kind of went on in the series, but we also kept losing money because the show, even though if the show was on today getting the same numbers it got then, we'd be a raging success because television is like pretty dead on, network television is kind of dying on the vine. But at that point, NBC was like, yeah, we don't know, we think we could do better. And so every season, if anybody, bought any Subway sandwiches to save our show, you know this, every single season NBC was like, yeah, we don't know if we're gonna bring you back, so heads on the chopping block. And then, by the grace of God, they would go and do development of new shows that weren't quite up to snuff, and so that they would say, okay, we'll bring you back, but they would go to Warner Brothers, who produced us, and they'd say, but we're only going to license the show for this much money, a little bit less and a little bit less. So every year they'd license it for less, which means every year Warner Brothers would have less and less money to be able to put into the budget, and we were now trying to make these episodes what used to be, 9 days, now we're down to like 7 days and less money and running and gunning, and I mean, it was a very tumultuous task to make that show. So, all that to say, I was ready to move on from all that stuff, but I would work with all those people for the rest of my life if I could have. And then why did it end? Because of all of that. The ratings just weren't enough for NBC to keep renewing us. And as much as I wish that we would have been able to get more and more people watching live, at the time, we didn't. What's ironic is that then, so many people have found the show on Netflix, on Amazon, on HBO Max. So I really think that, I I don't know. I mean, if we made a movie now, we would have twice the support that we would have had even when the show was on TV, which is kind of crazy, you know? Thank you. So schwitzy up here. Hey, what's up, brother?
Hi. I'm Aiden, I'm from Chicago.
Aiden, nice to meet you.
And
very commanding voice, right, from Aiden? I'm Aiden, I'm from Chicago.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
So, the story arc of Frangio, just in general, how do you feel on how it ended? Because in Ragnarok, he went, and then he died. So,
oh, I know, I was there. Listen, man, I mean, it was such a really interesting journey with that role because I was originally cast by Kenneth Branagh in the first Thor as Fandral. And I was over the moon, as you could probably imagine. But I was doing Chuck at the time, and we had gotten renewed like in the last second for like 6 more episodes that season. And they're like, yeah, sorry, you can't go be a Marvel superhero. And I was like, kill me now! They didn't have to kill me then, they just waited 2 more movies. So that was a heartbreaker. But then, as fate would have it, Josh Dallas, who stepped in and played that role ultimately in the first movie, he was on a show called Once Upon a Time, and then he was shooting his show, and they wouldn't let him out of his show. And so then Marvel came back and were like, "Hey Zach, what you doing? And do you want to play this role?" So I had some, lengthy conversations with the folks in the studio because I personally, in the first movie, I didn't feel like the Warriors 3 were utilized on the level that I wish they would have been. You know what I mean? I think that those are some awesome characters and badass characters, and I wanted to see them be more badass and a part of what was going on. I was told that that was the intention for the second movie in Thor: The Dark World. It was going to be more. I was like, okay, because honestly, my fear was if I only get one shot at being a superhero, then I want to make sure it counts, that it means something, right? And so then we went and shot Thor: The Dark World, and as it turned out, we didn't really end up doing much in that movie either, but that was a lot of things that ended up coming into the confluence of all those events. Still grateful that I got to be a part of it, for sure. And then the third movie rolled around, and I got a call, this is now years later, and the call was, hey, they're making a third Thor movie. They would like for you to come back. They only need you for, what was it? They only need you for like 2 days. And I was like, oh, I'm getting killed. That's for sure. I am 100% dying in this movie. And as it turned out, that's exactly what happened. But I wanted to, look, I think Taika Waititi is a hugely talented person. And so I thought working with him was going to be cool. Finishing up the role would have been cool. Trip down to Australia would have been cool. I was disappointed that there was actually some dialogue in that scene, and all of it got chopped out, so I didn't even get to say a thing before I got, a couple daggers thrown in my chest by Cate Blanchett. But if you're gonna die, let it be at the hands of Cate Blanchett. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Hey Zach, it's Logan from the Chicago area. Can I call you Zach or no?
Yeah. You call me Zach, Zachary, Schmucko, Poopy Pants. Just don't call me late for dinner. That's what my daddy always says.
Who was your acting inspiration?
Oh man, Bugs Bunny probably. Have you seen How We Move Up Here? No, I'm kidding. Well, actually, no, I'm not totally kidding. I'm sure that a lot of the cartoons I watched growing up absolutely influenced me as an actor. But I would say as far as actors, I mean, Tom Hanks has always been huge up there. Jimmy Stewart, guys like Jimmy Stewart. I've always really liked the everyman. I've always appreciated the actor that is just somebody who is grounded and who represents as many of us as possible, because I think that's who we can connect to. That's who we relate to. That's who we want to relate to. We see the big stars, and, I don't know, the Brad Pitts or whatever. Although Brad Pitt, I think, has played some really cool roles that are more grounded in Everyman too. But a lot of those are aspiration goals. It's like, oh man, if only I could be that. Whereas opposed to, oh no, I am this. I see this. I relate to this. So actors like that have always inspired me. And then also like a lot of just great physical comedian, I would say, I can't remember exactly when all these movies dropped, but Jim Carrey in his first 4 films was everything in my childhood. Me and all of my friends were constantly quoting Ace Ventura and Dumb and Dumber and The Mask and all that jazz. Peter Sellers, OG, physical comedian. Yeah, I don't know, lots of that stuff. Yeah, thanks, great question. Yes, sir?
Hi, Earl from City Park.
Hi, Earl.
Two things. One, this has got to be one of the best panels we've ever had at C2E2.
Hey!
So please come back in the future. We're going to love that.
It was all great until I burned it all down.
So, tweaking my question based on your previous answer.
Tweak it, Earl.
First date.
Just don't twerk it, because you got some people right behind you that would not. Okay, go ahead.
Great spirit. First date. Do you ever think about bringing it to Broadway in Chicago? And could we ever see a second date?
Oh! Well, we did, when we were making First Date, we did joke about, like, wouldn't it be funny to do a second date or whatever. I don't think that's going to happen. I'm not, First Date has shows that will pop up, because you can go, people can produce it. I mean, there's been shows in multiple countries at this point that people have put up productions of First Date. It's disappointing to hear it hasn't happened in Chicago yet. I think it should. I don't know that I would necessarily be a part of it, but I definitely would think it would be great to have a production of First Date come here to Chicago. Because it's a really fun show. And again, it's very relatable. It's a guy and a girl on a first blind date at a bar in New York, although it could be Chicago. And then just, getting through what is that awkwardness and how do you relate to somebody that you don't know and the questions that you ask and the things that are running through your mind. Did you get to see First Date?
Oh yeah, we flew out for a day trip to New York.
Oh, fantastic. So, yeah, of course. So yeah, I think it's a very relatable premise, and I think, it's a really fun one. So I'd love for it to end up in Chicago.
Yeah, but for a long time I had the Bailout song as my ringtone. So thank you for coming to Chicago.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Oh, great. Oh, guys, we have so much time left. I love it. Yes, sir.
I'm Arsha. I'm from, the suburbs.
Okay. Like the suburbs.
I'm a little starstruck, I'm not gonna lie. I'm sorry. I'm actually stuck.
Why are you so scared? Don't be so scared.
Oh my God. Continue, it's all right.
So,
what if I just ran and jumped at you right now? Stop it. Stop it. What's your question?
So I had a question about sort of the future of Shazam. Is do we get to see Shazam maybe after the post-credit scene from Shazam 2? So is there a future for Shazam?
This emoji. I don't know, man. I mean, look, this is what I know. Businesses are businesses, right? So they don't tend to make more product of something that didn't make them the money that they wanted it to make, ultimately, right? Now, some of that is box office, which I wish we were doing much better in right now. But some of that is ultimately going to be home video and video on demand and all the other things and like the first Shazam, for example. We did pretty good in the box office. We weren't like some massive success, but we did pretty good. But we did really well in the secondary markets, and because a lot of that is families who didn't end up going out to the theater, but instead waited it. And by the way, now it's more than just families. We're all so accustomed to waiting for the streaming that it affects box office negatively, unfortunately. But if it's very convenient for people, I guess that's fortunate. I don't know. It's a weird place that we're in. So I would love to keep playing this role. I'm literally paid to be an immature version of myself. I highly recommend it, by the way. It'd be so much fun, but I have no idea. And I haven't had any conversations about it, so I'm just gonna keep living life and we'll see where it goes. Yeah. Thanks, man. Yes, sir.
Yeah, hey Zach, my name's Rory and I'm from the UK.
I couldn't tell.
I love Shazam, and I guess my question is, what's your favorite memory from either of the films?
On both of, there's all kinds of fun, I guess little moments and things that happen when you're filming, but I'm a lover of people. So my favorite moments are just like between takes. It's like when we're hanging, I bring a speaker to work and I just play music all day long, which is typically like dance pop music. There's some Michael Jackson, some Stevie Wonder, some Dua Lipa, like that kind of stuff. I just like keeping people happy and going and whatever, because music makes life better. It genuinely does. So we're all just hanging out between takes and between scenes. I bring my Nintendo Switch to work, and I would hook it up on a TV and we'd play Mario Kart. You know, that's the stuff that I love. And then on the second one, I was able to host a lot of like pool parties and barbecues and things like that, and bring in all the, you know, younger cast and the super cast together, and like that. Those are all my favorite moments. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, man. Yeah.
I'm Kelly from Wisconsin.
Kelly from Wisconsin.
I have a computer animation degree, so I'm very curious
Well done.
as to your, I guess, part in creating Flynn Rider / Eugene Fitzgerald, what that looked like for you, and what was the most challenging part of voice acting.
Well, I mean, look, they had an idea of what Flynn was supposed to look like before I got cast. Apparently they went to a whole, they did this poll, like they polled all these people working at Disney, I think particularly the ladies, but gentlemen as well, and they asked them, like, what are all the attributes that you find most attractive in a cartoon character? I swear to God they did this. And they put that through that algorithm, the human algorithm, not AI, and that's how they came up with Flynn Rider. He was the most handsome Disney prince they'd ever created. Which then naturally, I somehow found my way to. So that was really fun. That I got to just, you know, audition for this thing and wind up. Look, and I know that I'm biased, I get it, but honestly, Flynn is the best. He is the Han Solo of Disney princes. He's got so much personality and charm and funniness and all of the things, and I'm so stoked that I got to be him. The irony was that when I auditioned for the role, they were only reading English actors because Flynn originally had an English accent. And they almost didn't see me. In fact, they weren't seeing any American actors. They were like, no, we need English actors because we need an authentic English accent. And fortunately, my voiceover agent, she knew that I did English accents, and she was like, please, just see Zach, and he can sing and whatever, and they're like, okay. And then I went in, and I did all of the audition as Flynn, and he was English, and like all the lines, or whatever it was, so I did it all as English, and they were like, okay, I guess they can kind of do that. And then, and we were asked to bring a singer-songwriter song to sing for them, and I sang Sweet Baby James by James Taylor, which is a banger, by the way, if you don't know that one. And based on all that, they were like, okay, we're going to call you back. And I got called back, and I sang At Last I See the Light. That's for my callback song. I would learn that. I know, another banger. And Alan Menken, guys. I mean, Glenn Slater, insane. And so then I ended up getting cast in the role. And then only after that did, I think it was Lasseter? I don't know, somebody high up at Disney, they realized that never in any of their movies did either their prince or princess have anything other than a standard American accent, and they didn't want to veer from that. And so they called my agents back and they were like, so, can Zach do that? And I was like, can I do this? You want me to just talk like me? Okay, yeah, fine, I can do that. It's so funny. So yeah, so that was the whole process of getting the job, and honestly, one of the coolest darn things that's ever happened to me in my life. I really feel like I manifested that since I was a little kid. Ever since I was a little kid, I was the biggest Disney nerd. We lived in Southern California. We would go to Disneyland a lot. I would watch the Disney Channel like constantly. And by the way, for all of you who are a bit younger than my 42-year-old self, the Disney Channel was not a whole bunch of new content. It was just a bunch of the old shit. They would just play on repeat, which I loved, by the way. I kind of wish they still did a lot of that, because we got to look at all those old cartoons, Silly Symphonies and all that stuff, which were so fun. Mickey Mouse Club? Oh yeah, the OG Mickey Mouse Club, for sure. So anyway, for me, I dreamt about being in a Disney animated musical, and then I got to be in one, and I'm so grateful. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. I love that I have a Sarah Walker in Orange and a Chuck Bartowski right across the aisle. Did you guys coordinate that? If you're both single, you should talk to each other afterward. Oh, we're not married. Does she remember though? I mean, honestly. Anyway, yes, Sarah.
Hi, my name is Lauren. I'm from Chicago, Illinois.
Hey there.
per the outfit, one of my favorite things about Chuck is that every season there's such great character development for the character. And I was wondering, as you think back to when the show was on the air and you were filming, what, I guess, version of Chuck did you enjoy filming the most or inhabiting?
That's a great question. I mean, I think every season had bits that I enjoyed, playing aw shucks foot in mouth for too long gets boring. It gets old. And so I felt like that held on a little longer than I wanted it to. So when you get into like end of season 2 into season 3, and I'm still like not staying in the car or whatever it is that I don't know, and you know, screwing things up, but then only to fix them later. You know, that stuff I didn't love as much. But the initial season 1 Chuck, where he was just being thrown into all of this and learning all of these things and like, oh my gosh, these missions and stuff, like that was really fun. And then I appreciated when we finally got to a little bit more of Chuck who could handle himself and wasn't quite, you know, and so I guess toward the end of season 3 and then through season 4. And if you look, you know, another thing too was like Josh Schwartz. Josh Schwartz used to have, one of the creators of Chuck and who created the OC as well, he had like this kind of Chuck hair, like this long flowy Chuck hair. So he wanted, like it's part of the reason I got the job in the first season, right? Because I had this Josh Schwartz hair, which subsequently was also Adam Brody's haircut in the OC. It all makes sense, guys. So, and then Adam and I got to work in Shazam together, which is also super mind-melding. Anyway, but so they were very hesitant for me to cut my hair, and so like, the hair went through a really weird journey, right? Like, if you look at season 2, it's almost like I'm wearing this weird, like, Farrah Fawcett wig sometimes. It's very strange. But I was always like, guys, if he's going on all these missions and all this stuff, like, shouldn't he start graduating into being a little bit more of a spy? So if you look at the haircuts, they eventually get shorter. And when they got a little shorter, then I was a much happier person, too. Yeah. Thank you very much. Yes, Mr. Bartowski.
Yes, so my name is Zach, I'm from Wisconsin.
Also Zach! Love it.
Best name.
Best name.
My favorite moment watching Chuck was when you're in the suburbs with Sarah and then you're finding out that it's a full-grown suburb.
Are you talking about with Jen McCarthy?
Yes.
Yeah!
And handcuffed to the bed and trying to escape.
Carmichael always comes early.
Looking in, that seemed like it would have been the most fun scene to film. But I was curious.
Which one? The one where I open the door or the one where I'm handcuffed to the bed?
Handcuffed to the bed and escape.
I'm learning a lot about you right now.
I was curious what your favorite moment to film in Chuck was.
Man. I don't know, man. Dude, I got to work with so many childhood idols or like crazy, interesting people throughout that show. I got to punch Mark Hamill in the face. Which, by the way, was never a dream of mine. I love that dude. But he was playing a bad guy and deserved a good punching in the face. I got Mark, I don't know if you guys ever saw this, but like way back when Twitter was even, was it on Twitter? I don't know, I posted something online. It was a little video, and I got Mark to do this thing where me and Josh are like, there's like this like, you know, kind of chair, like a sun chair kind of thing, right? And we're all sitting around it, and there's like a phone sitting there on the and Josh and I are like, oh, come on, man, just please, just once, just like, you know, nobody's watching. He's like, fine. And he goes, and we had this clear string monofilament on the phone, and he goes, he force pushes the phone across the chair. That, like stuff like that, like I couldn't even, in my wildest dreams would I think, I'm gonna get Luke Skywalker to force push something in my existence. And he was so game, like he's such a sweet guy. So like, yeah, stuff like that, or like, you know, knocking out Stone Cold Steve Austin. I don't know. I mean, it's the weird, you know, all the coolest weird. Having Scott Bakula be my dad, dude. Like, Linda Hamilton was my mom. You know what I mean? Like, these things are all the little nerd in me just being like, boy, I can't believe what's going on. So all of it, yeah. Thanks, man. Yeah, Luigi. It's a me.
We were talking about theater earlier. If you could
Where'd your accent go? What happened?
be any character in a Broadway musical, which would you be?
See, that's good improv. Yes, and. Yes, and. If I can, sorry, what was the question? Any character in a Broadway musical, who would I be? Annie. I've auditioned so many times. Just never give me a chance. I don't know. To be honest, I don't know. I mean, there's so many great musicals. There's a lot of musicals that have yet to be written, and I would love to figure out whatever those roles are. You know, I think. I'm trying to think of. I mean, listen. When I was a kid, I thought being like Rum Tum Tiger would be a really fun role to play. Rum Tum Tiger, Rum Tum Tiger, right? Tugger, Rum Tum Tugger. Yeah. But based on the success of the movie, I don't know if that's really something I want to jump into. But I remember being a kid watching that on stage. I was like, that guy is really doing it. That guy is doing it. Yeah, so I don't know. That's a great question, though. Harold Hill and Music Man, maybe something like that. Yeah. Yes.
My name is Celis. I'm from Iowa, and I just want to know, what was your biggest takeaway from playing Shazam?
I mean, the biggest takeaway from Shazam is the family that I made, the Shazamly, literally. I mean, all of those kids, all of their super counterparts, Marta and Cooper, who play our parents. I mean, it is a really, again, I know, this might sound redundant and trite, but I mean every word of this. I think more than anything else, I was put on this earth to love people. I think more than anything else, I was put on this earth to bring joy to people. And so to the extent that God gives me the opportunity to be the lead of any set where I have now the responsibility, but with that the opportunity, right? With great power comes great responsibility, right? If we've learned anything from Spider-Man / the Bible. And I really believe that. And so that's the biggest takeaway, man. It's like there's people that I got to love on and became part of my extended chosen family. And I love that Shazam is about that. I love that it's literally one of the most representative films, superhero films certainly, but even just movies. And it's not even like forcing anything. It's all in the comics. It's just representing a lot of people in a lot of different ways. And particularly, there's these foster kids who didn't have a family that they could find, that they were born into, that they felt immediately accepted and loved by, but rather a family that they found outside of that chose them and that they chose. And by the way, we all do that. Even if you had a wonderful family that you were born into, guess what? You become 18, 19, 20, you're going off to college, you're going into the workforce, and now all of a sudden you're choosing who your fucking family is. And hopefully you choose wisely. Hopefully you're choosing people that are supporting you and holding you accountable, because those are two very important things. Anyway, yeah, so all those things.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. We got 1 minute, guys. 1 minute.
Hi, my name is Layla. I'm from the suburbs, and I know you've been in Marvel and DC movies. So my question for you is, who do you enjoy more? Marvel and DC?
Oh wow. Are you trying to get me killed? Just waiting to see if the little red dots are coming.
Oh, I'm sorry, we're out of time. Sorry, no time.
I love them both equally. No, listen. Growing up, I was a Marvel kid because I was huge into all the mutants. I loved X-Men, X-Factor, X-Force, X-Men. To this day, I still believe it's the closest chance any of us have to actually becoming a superhero, because it's like a gene mutation, and who knows, like, it can happen, right? Some weird things happen. You know, I was like, I don't know that I'm going to find myself in a lot of gamma rays. I don't know that anything like that. I'm certainly not from another planet, at least that I know of. Maybe I am. But so I was super into that world. That said, I cannot think of a role, genuinely, and then I've wanted to play a lot of different superheroes over the years, but I can't think of a role that I'd rather play than the fact that I watched Tom Hanks in Big and Christopher Reeves in Superman, and I got both. And I can't, nobody else got that. I got that. And it's so fun. So, We got 30 more seconds. I got time for one more. You better make it count. Oh my gosh, the pressure!
The pressure. Hi, I'm Kat. I'm from Iowa.
Hi.
I saw you in She Loves Me on Broadway.
You're an excellent person with excellent taste.
Yeah, I still have your autographed playbill on my wall.
Yeah!
And my husband's really jealous of you, it's fine. So I have one question, it's a yes or no. So what are your chances of going back to Broadway sometime?
Oh, well, that's not a yes or no question. What are my chances of going back to Broadway?
But do you want to go?
No, they're very good. Listen, it's all a matter of juggling all the different types of schedules, right? So you do a TV show, it lasts this amount of time, and if it's multi-seasons, you got to count for that. If you're doing a movie, it lasts this amount of time. If you're doing a Broadway show, it's this type of commitment, whatever that is. And trying to juggle and balance all of that stuff. But I would love to get back on Broadway, on a Broadway stage. I don't know that the next one I do would be a musical, only because I've done that, and if I've only got so many years of life to experience different things, I want to check off just like doing a play, a comedy or a drama or something like that. But I love it. Look, I mean, you can probably tell, not only do I love people, but I love live experience like this. It's so much fun. It's so much fun. So I'd love to do far more of that. Guys, that is my time.